Through the series, Bitwise Industries is proud to share the journey of a pre-apprentice to an apprentice to a journey worker from inception of the Bitwise Industries model to the successful program that we have today. I'm very excited to chat with some folks on the team today about how public and private organizations can work with Bitwise Industries apprenticeship program and what it means that we just received our National Registered Apprentice Program designation. My name is Michelle Skoor. I'm the Chief Workforce Officer for Bitwise Industries, and I'm happy to be with these folks today. Tina?
I'm Tina Robertson, and I'm the Vice President of Government Partnerships.
Hello, Kenan Scott, Vice President of Bitwise in Oakland, in charge of bringing this wonderful ecosystem built in Fresno to my city, Oakland, California.
Hi, I'm Danita Ramos, VP of Bitwise Workforce Training located in Fresno. I am part of a great team that helps to manage apprenticeships, launch new apprenticeships, and find grant funding for new apprenticeship opportunities for our students.
Let's dig in. Will you tell us about the work that you do expanding the Bitwise apprenticeship model to benefit public and private organizations?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks, Michelle. We work with federal, state, and local agencies to register our apprenticeships. So our apprentice program, we have 13 of them that are nationally registered and at the federal level. And then at the state level, we work with the Department of Apprenticeship Standards to make sure that we are providing the curriculum and the experience that gives our students and our participants real-world training and experience. And the other way we work with that is we work with local agencies to give us technical services work so that we can give the apprentices real-world experience. It's really a unique approach because when we are both the trainer and the employer and give the opportunity to work with state and local agencies, they have the ability to know firsthand in real world terms what it's like to apply the skills that they've learned. It's really exciting.
I get to be the beneficiary of all the knowledge that happens at Bitwise. So I get to take that handoff directly from the government team and apply it locally, which is really cool. So I get to work not only with our local workforce development boards to find more ways in which we can fund these apprenticeships and take the knowledge and lessons learned from our government team and apply it locally on the ground level, but I also get to work with the CBOs, the community-based organizations that actually touch and work with the people that we're trying to impact the most. And so in my role, I get to kind of bring it all the way home and get to the true return on investment, which is impacting the people's lives and then getting it out, the message, the opportunities out to as many people in the Bay Area as we can.
A way that we are able to do that at Bitwise Workforce Training is through our innovation labs. Our innovation labs are a really great opportunity for us to find folks in the community that don't have resources that may help them with their ideas or their small businesses. And we get to give them those resources through the experts that we hire in the industry to lead those apprenticeships and really teach them the ways, boots on the ground in small group settings, give them resources to the technologists in our building so they can apply those to the real world experiences that Tina and Kenan are describing. Our students really do get to dive deep into the content that they're working on and working towards. They get to talk to people who lead organizations and investment opportunities, how to pitch and sell themselves and their businesses. And that contributes right back to the economy and the economy in these small cities where Bitwise cities are grown in, like Oakland. And so we get to do that great work with industry experts, both within Bitwise and outside of Bitwise. And we give these people who may not have those resources in hand when they start out, we get to partner with them and we get to give them these resources and work next to them side by side, grow, change, and then give back to the economy that they've come from.
Thanks. Why do you feel like apprentices and the apprentice programs are important for the future of work?
I feel it's important for the future of work mainly because there are no barriers to entry. Our program is intentionally and specifically a barrier-free environment. So we reach into any community group that has the desire and aptitude and ability to learn and improve the trajectory of their career. And there's no other program that I know like it, that we don't see people for, well, what are your qualifications that we can screen out? We're a screen-in organization, and that's really the most exciting differentiator we have. And when we couple that incredibly inclusive approach with formalized registered apprenticeship programs, we create a true opportunity to reduce the equity gap that exists today and give people a new economic future for themselves and to role model for their family. It's really important.
I definitely agree, and would love to add that what's really important to the new workforce is just what Tina said, that we strip away barriers, that we start to remove degrees as the first real necessary piece that you have to have on your resume. We need to start removing the four-year degree, especially from entry-level positions, because we understand that in underserved communities, that is where you are going to screen out the majority of the people that really are ready to take the leap, that are ready to challenge themselves and have the capacity to do the work, to do incredible work. And so Bitwise is really an exemplar of how we move workforce in this new direction, in this new generation. As you look at Gen Z, you're seeing a generation that doesn't believe in the four-year progression. They have seen enough models that prove that it's not necessary. And as industry, we need to do the same. And Bitwise is, like I said, providing a perfect example of how to do it through our apprenticeship program.
I really like the term screen in that Tina was using. I love that. I've never even thought of it that way, but that's exactly what you described is exactly right. Our team works really hard at getting feedback from students, getting feedback from partners, and deciding what are those barriers to entry and how do we get rid of them? How do we overcome them? What resources can we provide the community and let them know about those resources really early on in their journey so that we don't have to worry about that and finding out later on, years later, why did this student self-select out? What was that? And so we're really sure that we do that, or we make sure that we do that really early on in their program so that we can remove those barriers. So screening in is is the new term. I love it.
Danita, will you also talk about why it's important in the future of work that Bitwise's model is a paid apprentice program and how that's an additional component of not only screening in, but paying people to learn?
Absolutely. It's a very proud part of what we say to other people is that our students get paid to do this work with us. They are actually training on the job, working with real projects, working on real client work so that they can spend their 8-hour day getting paid to do the work that they're actually doing instead of an apprenticeship where they may not be getting paid, or they may also need to go find a second job to make ends meet, because sometimes these people are head of households or sometimes they're the only income. And so we really want to make sure that we give them both a wage that is livable and also that the education matches what we're paying them to do. So it's very important to us and for us that we are able to do that for our apprentices. Sure.
What type of apprentices does Bitwise offer? And is that uniform nationwide or does it vary location by location? Danita?
I know Tina has some things to say here as well, but on the local level, we have a variety of apprenticeship topics. We have React Native, React Web, Salesforce, Inside Sales, Call Center, and a few others, but they do not vary throughout the nation. We do want to offer our apprenticeships to everyone that has that talent and is able to do that work. So we really want to individualize what our apprentices are tasked to do. And so we want to make sure that a wide variety of apprentices have access to that.
Yeah, I'll just add that in the midst of a pandemic, Bitwise was really able to take that value of everyone and no one belongs here more than you, and extend that to the virtual apprenticeships and the virtual cohorts, because now we can have people in multiple cities interacting together, working together on the same projects, having leads that are also around the country. And I think it really proves our national model that we were able to make that pivot during the pandemic.
Yeah, one of the things that is really great about our model is the combination of the registered apprenticeship program, which creates standardization and skills that are tracked to specific jobs in every community. But the real benefit, like what we do in Oakland or in Fresno, is rooted 100% in the needs of that community. And that is really important. So we don't really just prescribe out, oh, we're going to do this one, and this one in this order in a given city. We work with, as Kenan was talking about, community organizations, workforce development boards, local councils and governments to see what does this community need here. And we sometimes focus our programs with specific cohorts of people, where if there are, particularly in post-COVID, people that were displaced or young adults, we work with the community with their feedback to say, okay, this is one of the 13 apprentices that we have registered. This is the one we're going to do first in Oakland, and then we're going to do a different one first in Merced. So the ability to have a broad range of apprenticeships to choose from is really important because it allows us to meet the community where they are.
That's great. Also, do you want to mention or say one specific thing about how the tech consulting work drives the way that we stand up an apprentice? For example, in Toledo, the reason we're standing up a call center there is in direct response to that community.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great example, Michelle, because we've done that in other areas as well. And so when a community comes to us and says, for example, broadband and the digital divide is real especially in the communities we serve, we have apprenticeships that we align the apprentices with. If a community, especially in digital divide, there's a lot of work right now being focused on closing the digital divide gap in our tech consulting services for call center and field engineers. Those are really important opportunities for us to meet the community exactly where they need.
Yeah, it's incredible too to watch the community come in, earn those skills, and serve back the very communities. That's an impact not only to that community, but the person doing the learning is a recipient of those services.
Yeah, we say that, by the community for the community. And so it's really important. And especially when you talk about equity divide issues and broadband divide issues, it's really important that the people who understand what it's like to be left behind are part of the solution, and they're not being told, here, this is going to work great for you. It's people who have come out of the circumstance and are there to provide that helping hand to others. It's a really important aspect.
And if you couldn't tell that we're a team, because we just keep adding on to each other's work constantly, I think to dovetail and just keep building, the work you guys have done to bring in the bilingual component. I think about Oakland, I think about our Asian American community that has a really language challenge, like standard barrier there. To be able to have a bilingual call center, to be able to call someone, speak in your native tongue, and already bypass that initial barrier as if tech wasn't enough, your language is there too. So the bilingual component is, I think, exactly there, meeting the community where the needs are, for the community, by the community.
How long is an apprenticeship program, and can that be adjusted based on what an organization needs?
All the good questions you're coming with today, Michelle.
Thanks.
Our registered apprenticeship program is a 12-month program, and it's by design because it's a combination of skills learning and teaching, and then application of those skills in real-world examples. So all of those programs are a defined period. However, again, we keep saying it, it sounds repetitive, but it really is so true to who we are, is that if a community came to us and said, again, broadband digital divide, we know we need to deal with this urgently. There's a lot of funds that are coming in right now to governments that are helping them with these digital infrastructure and equity issues and digital divide. And so we can tailor a shorter term program. It's not a registered apprentice, but it is still a meaningful program that still serves the community and gives them skills. And again, because all entry-level jobs aren't the same. They don't all require a full year of training. There are some things you can do in a shorter period of time. And our model is completely flexible. And again, working with Kenan and all of our VPs and Danita, it's a very customized approach. There's just a lot of power in knowing what standardization is and knowing when the community needs a different response.
Tanita, I know you've been working with organizations in the private space to bring apprentices in-house.
Customization is really important to us. So yes, that is flexible, that length of time. Our apprentices' goal here is to be trained well and start the entry-level work as soon as possible to get income. And so to get trained properly also, and that content to be really learned and practiced well before completing a program. So that's what drives that customization. Most importantly, also a little bit more about flexibility is we partner with private organizations as well who hire us to train their talent, but also to use that talent within their own organizations. Both them and Bitwise benefit from that diverse talent. And so we're really happy to be able to partner with folks who also need those resources and more than happy to give them our training resources and help them to level up their own businesses, companies, and organizations.
Yeah, I mean, I think once again, I get to be the beneficiary of all this wonderful work. I get to then take this, spread the word, talk to the people in my city, in government, and tell them about our adaptive expertise, how we've taken a model that works, that is proven here in Fresno, and are continuously adding nuances to tailor it to meet the needs of the people. And so, yeah, team, right? Yeah. I'm fortunate enough to be a part of this team and get to do that on the ground level.
That also, I'm just going to go on the team aspect, because the apprenticeship really, it's not one person doing an apprenticeship by themselves. They're in a cohort, and cohort, team, there's probably a lot of other good words, but the main thing is nobody goes alone. And so nobody is alone. And Kenan brought up my favorite saying in the world, which is no one belongs here more than you. But together, no one belongs here more than you. And that's just really important for the work we do and the successful outcomes that we see, quite frankly.
You know, we've talked a lot about the team that Bitwise has around these students and the supports that we have for these students. I also want to acknowledge the apprentice leads. They do a lot of work. They are the first point of contact for the apprentices throughout this journey, and we really rely on them to mentor the students and also apply their knowledge, their years of industry experience to these newcomers to technology. And they hold a lot of responsibility and they take it very seriously. We are so proud to have the team that we have, and so proud that they are able to do this work with our apprentices and just have the passion and the heart for teaching and the heart and passion for their topics and their content. It's just really beautiful to see us bringing in other folks for these apprenticeship opportunities and them really applying what they know, both emotionally, supportive, education-wise, everything, and giving their all to our apprentices and developing these teams, these families that they've developed with their organization or their group of learners. And we just so appreciate the hard work. So I don't think I've mentioned them this week, and I'm so glad that I remembered to do that because they're just such an important part of what we do. So thanks to all of you leads out there that are listening today.
Yeah, I think one of the things I've heard from apprentices most also is that you don't know what it's going to feel like working in a tech organization, even just the concept of being in that work, let alone learning what it means to have those skills, that the lead is guiding them along the way. But because they're embedded in tech consulting projects, they get a glimpse and get to connect with the technologists while they're doing the learning, which makes then getting the first entry-level job. You already not only have the skills, but you know what it's like to cross-functionally work inside of a technology team. And the apprentices really lead them into those first steps of what it's like to work in a team like that.
I'm sorry, I can't help but adding one more thing. But the other thing is that it gives them an opportunity to see themselves in that world. And it sounds like simple words, but it's really important that when you don't understand what it looks like for you to be in that world, that's different than seeing other people in that world. And that's really what our sense of place does for them. Or everything really gives them, this is me in this world. And that is probably the best thing of everything that we do.
Right. If a public or private organization is interested in working with Bitwise, what's the best first step? Maybe Tina, you can talk about how to connect in a public partnership space. Kenan, the work that you're doing in Oakland and how to connect, and Danita, how to connect with organizations into the apprenticeship program.
Yeah, for government, we try to make it really as seamless as possible. And what that means is we understand standardization in some of the contract vehicles. It's not really fun, and I'm probably the only one that likes to talk about them. But part of government is just to know how to do business with the government, and our whole team is very specialized. They know the WIOA funding opportunities, the Department of Labor, the EDA, all those. We speak all of that language. And then from a consulting services side, we're on leverage procurement agreements like master services agreements, multiple award schedules. Those are things that for all the government people out there listening, they're like, oh, okay, thank you for using those words. Everybody else, it's boring and awful, but it's important for government to easily be able to engage with us and get those benefits in the community.
Yeah, what you say is boring is actually a language acquisition that all of us expansion VPs have been grateful enough to learn from you. And so I would say that's the first step is on our website. You can look and see the teams in all the different regions that we are now expanding to. And so if you wanted to connect with someone in Merced, you could look at our team list. You could see who the vice president of Merced is. Shout outs to Norma C. And reach out to Norma to start that conversation. We as VPs are prepped and ready to explain the Bitwise ecosystem and then basically have you channel and figure out who the next step is in your journey of finding out what we can actually do together as a partnership. So look on the website, find out who the VP is in your region, reach out to that VP, and we'd be more than happy to tell you about Bitwise, share some of the stories, and explain to you what we do in conjunction with other community-based organizations in our areas and workforce development or chambers of commerce, and we can provide those examples. And so I would say look at our team site.
For my side of things, we would have that conversation about what that looks like. What are their goals? What are their learning goals? What population are they working with? What's the duration of time available? What is the funding available? And then we on our team sit back as experts to say, hey, what's going to be best for those students? What's going to be best in that region and that economy? And how can we really support what this organization is hoping to accomplish? And who's best fit to lead that? We talked about leads a little bit, like who would be the best fit that is understanding of that population, can support that population while is passionate about that economy in that area, and also the content. Who's going to best be able to support that content and the amount of time provided. So we do, there's a lot behind the scenes of planning and figuring that out, because we do want to make sure that not only the apprentice has the best fit for that, but also the right team members on our side, we're handing over the right fits to lead that work. So for me, it'd be programmatic, people, the students, what's best for them, and the content that's best for their learning.
Mm-hmm. And reaching out to each of you, I think one of the things that has been so incredible about watching the apprentice program expand across the cities where Bitwise is serving is that oftentimes we're laying down the pathways that have never been thought of before, that are new collaborations among public and private partnerships that have never existed before. And I think there's a lot of opportunity, not only because the expertise that you all hold about what's possible, but new ways of creating opportunities that haven't yet been collaborated. So thanks to each of you for all the work you're doing all the time for Bitwise and for the apprenticeships, and truly for the students' lives that we're changing.
And thank you for your leadership, Michelle. We couldn't do this without
great.
you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us for National Apprenticeship Week with Bitwise Industries. To find out more about how to partner with us, to learn more about our apprenticeship programs, please find us at bitwiseindustries.com. And come join us on your journey.